Hi. What happens when a nation refuses to defend its own border? Because right now, America's border is broken and our cities are breaking too. This is Biden's border betrayal, and we're the ones left footing the bill. So, you remember what they said in 2020? Compassionate immigration. No more cages, although the cages were from the Barack Obama era. Anyway, a more humane system. Okay, now fast forward to 2025. What do we have? Over 10 million illegal crossings since Biden took office. 10 million. Sanctuary cities drowning in costs they can't cover. A humanitarian crisis that's now a national crisis. It wasn't ever compassion. There was chaos. And it was chaos by design. So let's take a little tour. Let's start at New York City, the Big Apple, where Mayor Adams said it himself. This issue will destroy New York City. Little did he know they were about to elect a communist for mayor. New York City has now spent over $4 billion on migrants. The shelters were full. The hotels were being converted, not just the Days Inn on the outskirts of town. We're talking some of the five-star hotels had been converted. Schools, gyms, all overrun. Okay, let's move west. Chicago, that toddling town. There were veterans that were evicted from shelters. Veterans, our veterans, evicted from shelters to make room for illegal aliens. Crime is surging. Southside residents, Black Southside residents, were screaming for help and wondering how come now there's money. We'll talk about that too. But Mayor Johnson, silent. Well, unless it's about reparations, because he knows that that's a topic that will endear him to a certain part of the population. Let's go out west to Los Angeles, where Governor Gavin Newsom signed a $2.7 billion migration integration plan. $2.7 billion for a migrant integration plan. Now, while there are Californians living in tents and schools closing during budget cuts, and if I may, I got a Facebook memory. You get those sometimes. And this time, I don't know, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that, before COVID, we were I was with Urban Game Changers, and we were in California with my friend Charlotte Huzar. Miss her so dearly. Douglas, if you're watching, thinking about you guys. Douglas, Kenneth, those are her sons. But anyway, we parked. We went to Politicon. We were at Politicon. We were also at Taste of Soul too, but we were at Politicon, and we parked a little bit away from the Civic Center, and I was walking, down the street, and I was looking, and there are under this underpass, this overpass underneath there were of course tents and blankets and people laid out, and it was like a movie. Needles on the ground, all sorts of trash everywhere. And this was right down the street from the Civic Center, which is on the same piece of land that the Staples Center on, right downtown. There was this horrific homeless problem that her Shirley said had been growing exponentially in the past few months. They put us up at 1010 Wilshire, and if you're from Los Angeles, you know that 1010 Wilshire Super nice, right? Super nice. And except everything in there smell like weed. But anyway, that's something else. Super nice. So I'm on like the eighth floor and I'm looking out. You can see the mountains from my room, and I look down to my right where you can see from 1010 Wilshire off Wilshire Boulevard. Wilshire Boulevard. That should bring up Rat Pack, and that should bring up and the elite in Los Angeles and California. And I can see where the interstate goes through all the blue tarps of the homeless encampment. Just 100 feet from beautiful Wilshire Boulevard and 1010 Wilshire. So California is suffering. And then Gavin Newsom signs a $3 billion migrant integration plan, whatever the hell that is. Amazing to me. Just amazing. Okay, so let's break this down in dollars and cents. In fiscal year 2023, 451 billion dollars in total costs was spent related to illegal immigration. Almost $500 billion, which include things like emergency medical care, public school enrollments, courts and translation services, welfare assistance via state loopholes, and guess what? You're paying for it. If you're a small town farmer in Iowa or a factory worker in Ohio, your tax dollars are going to housing Honduran men in Manhattan. Meanwhile, our veterans wait in line at the VA. Some of our seniors are rationing insulin. And our citizens get told there's no money. We need our schools repaired. We need our schools to be open. We don't need the school on our neighborhood to close. Oh, there's no money. Now, there is a very real human cost to all of this. No one wants to talk about this, but we have to. We got to talk about crime. Now, not everybody, get this first, not everybody crossing the border is a criminal outside of them breaking into our country illegally. Let me say this again for the people in the back. Not everybody who is crossing the border is a criminal outside of that criminal act that they perform by crossing our border illegally, which is actually a crime. But to pretend that none of these people are, that reeks of criminality. In 2024, CPB apprehended over 1,500 individuals on the terror watch list. Holy crap. Thousands with prior violent convictions. Fentanyl seizures were at historic highs, enough to kill every man, woman, and child in America twice. Sanctuary cities? They refuse to cooperate with ICE. So criminals walk free. Because Democrat mayors would rather virtual signal than protect their people. This is how innocent Americans end up dead. Hey everybody, I am thrilled that the Larisha Thompson story is starting to take off. A lot of creators on YouTube, a lot of creators on TikTok are starting to pick up this story. Now, the next part of the magic is to not just get to your own audiences, is to aim this story at the places that are resisting it the most. Aim this story at CNN, at MSNBC. Aim this story at ABC, CBS, NBC. Aim this story at your local news agencies, your local newspaper, your local TV and radio stations. Aim this story to where it must get to. Because two things happen. We get to tell the story of Larissa Thompson, which is paramount, and we get to expose some of these people for the lying hypocrites they are. Because some bureaucrat in DC wanted to look inclusive. You know, I hear so often these leftist Negroes, they're so stupid. Let me help you. Let me help you. They're not stupid. None of this was by accident. It was not incompetence. All of this was intentional. Joe Biden gutted Remain in Mexico. He suspended deportations. He ended border wall construction. And he installed radical ideologues like Alejandro Mayorkas to run DHS, like an NGO, not like a national security agency. So the result, a border in name only, Beano, a country on its knees, and a left that treats American citizens like second-class problems. So, what do we do? First, finish the wall. We have to have something that looks like a border. Because a lot of that is, I'm going to tell you, a lot of that is psychological. If it looks like this is some sort of really well-watched, impenetrable wall, that will be enough to stop some people from trying. It's a psychological thing, if nothing else. We must reinstate Remain in Mexico. Otherwise, you're going to be an alligator Alcatraz waiting for your hearing before you get sent back to wherever you came from. And if someone is a repeat offender, deport them immediately. Period. The nanosecond you found out that they have done this before, they're out of here. They're out of here. And if they get caught again, they'll go to prison, and then they're out of here. If there's a city that's decided that they are going to allow illegal aliens to live there, however you can make their life more difficult financially, do that. I mean, the battle cry is defund sanctuary cities, but a lot of these cities are in bed with the federal government and live and die on monies they get from the federal government. Starve them. You know, there's a line from a Bill Cosby skit that, you know, that some children cannot sleep without a good beating. Offer them that beating. Congress needs to act and end birthright citizenship for illegal children. Congress needs to act. They can, but Congress needs to do it. And this is something for you and I. We need to elect leaders that put our country first. We need to elect people that are going to put America first. We've been betrayed, folks. We got betrayed by the last administration that put global optics over national survival. But we don't have to sit quietly. It's the Morning Report. We shine light where others hide. We call it what it is. We never back down. My name is Willie Lawson, and tomorrow's border security starts with today's truth. Be well.